Everybody, it's Rob Frank with Red County Ramblings with Rob. Today I'm going to talk about a couple of knives that I've recently acquired and give you kind of a history of why they exist and where they came from. So when I was a young man, I usually carried a knife that looked very similar to this one. This is a Case 06247 large pen knife. And it's a slip joint knife, which means it doesn't have a dedicated locking mechanism, but uses a back spring of tempered steel to give resistance against the blade from closing. Later on, I moved on to Swiss Army knives, mostly by Victorinox. This is a Victorinox Swiss Champ. It slices, it dices, it makes julienne fries. It utilizes the same back spring to keep the blade open, or to give you, more importantly, give you resistance from the blade from closing. Now, the slip joint has seen a resurgence recently, not only in the traditional patterns, but also in more modern designs. In my personal opinion, that seems to exist solely because of Spyderco's interest in providing knives for overseas customers and for customers here in the United States that live in jurisdictions that have, in my opinion, absolutely insane knife laws. The first people to go, I think, were the English. They made a law that said that you could not have a one-hand opening knife that locked. So Sal Glesser, utilizing what I think is a large part of the design of the very popular Spyderco Calypso Junior or Cali 3 model, and created the UK pen knife, or the UK PK. This is the first version of that. Comes with a black G10 handle and a non-locking blade of under 3 inches. Notice the back spring, once again, gives resistance against closing, but is not a lock. What I like about this knife is that he utilized the finger choil from the Calypso Junior models. And basically what that does is it gives you resistance, even more resistance against the blade closing on your hand. If the blade starts to close on your hand, your finger in the choil will prevent it from closing all the way. It's nice. It's got a half stop for safety. See? And the back spring is very, very tight. So this is the original version, S30V steel, made in the United States, G10 handle, a little bit on the expensive side. So a couple of years later, Spyderco introduced the line of UK pen knives. It came with FRN handles, fiberglass reinforced nylon, much less expensive. And they came in a variety of handle colors and 2 blade shapes. One, the leaf point, like on the original UK PK, and this drop point. They also came in serrated, partially serrated, and plain edge versions. But now I think we're just down to black FRN with either a drop point or a leaf blade. So not enough money, not enough sales out there to keep them all in production. But it's a nice little knife. The one thing I don't like about this knife is that the back spring is only halfway down the handle, which makes opening a little bit easier. But once again, finger choil stops the blade from closing. The spring is not nearly as stiff as the original, but all in all, if you're using this knife just as a regular walk around the house EDC knife, I don't think you'll have much problem with it. Now, in Denmark, they've really lost their minds. They do not allow a knife that can be opened with one hand with a lock. Spyderco originally introduced a Danish pen knife, which I believe they called the DK PK. I was never able to get my hands on that one. It seemed to be only sold in Denmark. I couldn't find any distributors in the United States that would sell that knife. It's something that I did want to have, but I was never able to pick it up. Less than 2 years ago, they came out with this knife, Spyderco's Pingo. which is a collaboration between Spyderco and Fox Knives of Italy. And it is a collaboration between two Danish knife designers, Jens Anso and Jesper Vaknes. Now, I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, so don't slaughter me in the comments. It has a blade that's less than 2.5 inches, a handle that's about 3.5 inches, has a black FRN handle. It utilizes N690 CO steel, which I've been told is the European version of EG10. I've had this knife for about 2 weeks, and I have to say, I absolutely love it. It's a nice knife. Besides the fact that this is probably one of the few knives that you could carry in New York City and not get arrested for. So while the Danes have seemed to have lost their minds, so has the city of New York. But then again, you should know your local knife laws, and basically New York City knife laws are, we're going to make it up as we go along. It's a nice knife. It's under $50. It's made in Magnango, Italy. It's got good blade steel. It came hair shaven sharp out of the box, and it's been in my pocket for the past 2 weeks. The final knife I'm going to go over is the Spyderco Squeak. Once again, slip joint. Like the Pingo, has a full back spring, black FRN handle, also made in Magnango, Italy, also made of the same N690 CO steel, designed by Sal Glesser. This knife is legal in the United Kingdom, but not legal in Denmark. Makes no sense to me either, but that's the way that it is. I don't even think this knife is legal in New York City, because it can be opened with one hand. Like I said, know your knife laws. No New York City knife laws are however the cop that is discussing this with you wants to take it. The only thing I don't like about these knives are the fact that they don't have a lanyard hole, and especially on the smaller knives, because my normal locking everyday carry knife for the past couple of weeks prior to getting the Pingo has been my Spyderco Dragonfly British Racing Green ZDP 189 blade, and that has a back lock on it, and it has a wire clip, and it has a lanyard hole. And the thing I like about the lanyard with small knives is that you can put your finger on the choil and you can use the lanyard to give you a little extra purchase on the handle. And that's what I like it for. So just think, this knife is illegal in Britain. This knife is legal in Britain. And it's all because of the lock. So there you go. A little review of some Spyderco Slipit knives that I've recently acquired. I like them. I carry them. I'm getting away from the larger knives. I'm only carrying knives that are very lightweight. There's not one knife that you see here that's over 2 ounces. In fact, I think all of them are under 2 ounces. Good blade steel, good craftsmanship, good fit and finish. I do like the full-length back spring on the Pingo and the Squeak as opposed to the FRN-handled UK pen knives. The G10 has a full back spring, but this was discontinued 3 years ago. So I hope you enjoyed it. Know your knife laws. Have a great day. And just remember, as my father used to always say, right is right and left is wrong. Bye out.